Oi, oi, alright, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you. This is DoodleReview, the channel that chats about a bit of everything genre-wise, but really we worship at the altar of all things alt-rock. We're always banging on about something in that old region of music, and today is Saturday. I mean, for me it is. You might be watching this at the arse end of a Tuesday at 1 AM, in which case, go to bed at the end of this video, I suppose, obviously. Anyway, Saturdays are significant for this channel because it's the day we release a Saturday special where we go deep on a band, album or artist, or really just anything I fancy talking about. But today it's going to be all about the Californian drummer extraordinaire Josh Freese. In fact, I'm going to tell you 5 things you didn't know about the current Foo Fighters drummer, and to prove I'm going deep in this video, before we even start number 5, let's just get his resume out of the way. Alright, so Freese is basically known in the rock world and the music industry at large for playing with basically everyone. I'm going to put the full Wikipedia list here, which you can squint and look at if you want, but the cliff notes are: he's currently the drummer in the Foo Fighters. He was also in the arena rock bands 9 Inch Nails, Weezer, Paramore, The Offspring. He's played with absolute rock royalty like Sting, Joe Cocker and Bruce Springsteen. He's drummed for pop megastars Avril Lavigne, Kelly Clarkson, Miley Cyrus, Katy Perry, Selena Gomez, Ricky Martin, and my personal favourite, Michael Bublé. No shit, the guy actually played on the fucking bop that is Haven't Met You Yet by Mickey Bubbles. Freese also has mega underground credibility by playing for the alternative heroes, the Replacements, the punk degenerates, the Dwarves, rock weirdos like Ween. He was on a Desert Sessions project and often plays in new wave legends Devo. There are actually only 2 bands lucky enough to count Josh as truly one of their own: California skate punk band The Vandals and alt-rock icons A Perfect Circle. Careful with that one. Honestly, I don't want to cheapen it, but everyone knows how to work Wikipedia, so go and do a deep dive on his credits. They are insane. But I wanted to try and hit you with 5 other things you might not have known, or that I just think are wild and hilarious and should spend more time on. So let's start with number 5. Alright, so after listing all of those pop divas and queens he's played for, is it really a surprise to learn Josh Freese has a part to play in last year's Barbie soundtrack? But he didn't just play on any one of the random tracks though. His drumming can be heard on the potential Oscar contender, the Golden Globe nominated I'm Just Ken, Ryan Gosling's pivotal song from the movie. All of a sudden, the idea of the drummer from the freaking Vandals eventually claiming the EGOT just became a reality. Okay, keeping on the TV and film tip, let's keep it moving at number 4. So you would think being so fanatical about music would leave me little to no room for any other ways to completely nerd out, but you'd be wrong. In addition to music, I am a huge geek for the late 90s TV phenomenon that is Buffy Vampire Slayer. And finally, I have a somewhat organic way to discuss the show on this channel. So how the hellmouth is Josh Freese involved in the world of Buffy Summers? Well, surprisingly, not via one of the many real-life bands that actually featured on the show, playing in the fictional nightclub The Bronze. Among them was Chibo Mutto, Michelle Branch, The Breeders, and Amy Mann. But no, Freese was involved in a slightly less cool way, to some, not to me. The show did a musical episode in its 6th series, and of course, if you're in Hollywood and you need a drummer, I think like something out of an episode of Buffy, I think all you need to do is just say Josh Freese into a drum mic and he appears. According to Wikipedia, he not only plays drums but also plays guitar on the soundtrack. I tried to get the exact details of what track or tracks he's included on, but the liner notes are limited, even on my vinyl copy. If I had to guess, it would likely be the big rock number in the set, Rest in Peace, sung by the character of Spike, and I defy you not to enjoy that song if you give it a listen. Anyway, number 3, let's talk about Josh's solo career, because obviously it's not enough to play drums in just every single band in the world. Freese also plays guitar, bass, keys, can sing, and write his own songs. There are actually 5 solo Josh Freese albums in total, but I want to focus on his 2009 record, Since 1972, because this has one of the wildest release strategies that there has ever been. To set the scene, let's wind it back to 2007, when Radiohead were releasing their long-awaited 7th album, In Rainbows. This was during the period just before the music industry, or just before streaming, when the music industry was being decimated by file sharing, and seeing the opportunity to innovate, Radiohead decided to put their album out on a pay what you want basis. Remember that? So you could literally go on the site, and if you wanted to hit zero, you could, or you could sling them a fiver, a tenner, a grand if you wanted. This inspired artists all over the world to rethink their release and pricing strategy, none more so than Josh Freese. For his album Since 1972, he wouldn't adopt a pay what you want model. Instead, he'd create album packages, from a digital download at $7, $15 CD DVD set. You could pay $50 for the CD and DVD, and a t-shirt and a thank you call from Josh Freese for buying Since 1972. You could pay $250, get the CD, DVD, a t-shirt, you could get a signed drum head and drumsticks, and you could go on a lunch date with Josh to P.F. Chang's or the Cheesecake Factory. But it didn't stop there. There were packages that went up and up and up, all the way to $75,000. This was limited to one person who, if they would pay the sum, would get the signed CD and DVD. They'd get a t-shirt. They'd go on tour with Josh for a few days. They'd have Josh write, record and release a 5-song EP about that person's life. They could take home any of his drum sets. They would also get the opportunity to apparently take shrooms and cruise Hollywood in Danny from Tool's Lamborghini, or just play quarters and then hop on a Ouija board for a while. Josh will join your band for a month, play shows, record, party with groupies. And if you don't have a band, he would be your personal assistant. You could also, and I'm not joking, these were all listed on the site, you could take a flying trapeze lesson with Josh and Robin from 9 Inch Nails, and then go back to Robin's place afterwards and have his wife make you raw lasagna. During his appearance on the Buddyhead podcast from a few years ago, which I definitely recommend you check out, I'll put a link to it down below, he was asked how many people took him up on these various offers, and he said he must have done about 40 of the $250 lunch dates at P.F. Chang's, which he sort of got exhausted by. But most hilariously, one person did buy his $20,000 package. In the interview, he makes a point of saying that the packages were, of course, a marketing stunt, so the fact that someone actually bought one of the high tier ones, it was a genuine surprise for him. And I think, showing his full character, he actually talks about how he kind of went over and above. So what was promised to the person? You could spend the night aboard the Queen Mary and take the Ghosts and Legends tour, or a foot and back massage. So go listen to the podcast. I've linked to hear what they actually did, but sure enough, that was a weekend that dude will obviously just never forget. Okay, back to the list. Number 2, another podcast revelation, and I think this is possibly one of the weirdest aspects to Josh Freese's career. In an interview with the Hard Times podcast, again, highly recommend it, I'll try and link it, Freese revealed something mental. That huge long Wikipedia article listing the full Josh Freese discography, like all those appearances, that is only a fraction of what the guy has actually done. In the interview, he explained that he oftentimes is hired to work completely uncredited, in some cases because he is basically re-recording the drums for a band whose actual drummer just isn't cutting it. Sometimes this is label mandated, sometimes the other members of the band arrange it, and in some cases the drummer in the band doesn't even know that it's happened. He literally recounts a story of having to hide away from the studio because the band he's working with, who thought their drummer was safely out of town, discover that he's the drummer, he's coming back, he's bringing his girlfriend to the studio for a visit. So yeah, it's kind of eerie. There are all of these Freese drum tracks just out there in the world that no one knows about. At this point, probably not even him. But okay, so number 1, and I think this is the craziest part of the Josh Freese story. So some of you might have wondered how we haven't gotten this far and haven't mentioned the fact that Josh Freese did 2 years in Guns N' Roses. And it's because, quite frankly, I think it's up there as the absolute weirdest part of his career. So to give you some context, you have to remember that after 1993's Spaghetti incident, Guns N' Roses were in this weird abyss or limbo state. Slash, Duff, Izzy had left and Steven Adler was long gone. It was basically Axl Rose being elusive and weird as hell, like a rock and roll Howard Hughes. And he spent the rest of the decade and well into the 2000s kind of assuring labels, managers, bandmates and the press that their next album, Chinese Democracy, was definitely coming. But it went on so long, up until 2008 when it did eventually come out, that Chinese Democracy basically became shorthand in the music industry and within music fandom for basically something that will never happen, sort of like a once in a blue moon thing. In 1997, Josh Freese signed a 2-year contract with Guns N' Roses, and in that time, he only went and wrote the song Chinese Democracy. I mean, of course, it's a co-write with the rest of the band, but it just always makes me laugh to think that Josh Freese, the guy that has played with everyone, is also the guy that wrote Chinese Democracy. I still get a kick out of it. Before I forget, absolutely go listen to the Josh Freese episode of a podcast for drummers called I'd Hit That, where he talks in detail about his time in Guns. It's a wild story. But yeah, alright, that's it. 5 things you hopefully didn't know about Josh Freese. If you did or didn't, hopefully you got a kick out of it either way. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers, mate. Bye.